All right. Well, Amanda, I am so happy that you decided to join me today. I am in a hotel room on vacation. You're at work, but I am so happy that we are getting a chance to chat because I think that your story is amazing, and I want to give you the opportunity to share um, all of it, whatever you want to share. And so we're just going to take a few minutes today and just talk about your health journey. It blows my mind. I'm so excited for you, your family. Um, yeah, I guess I'll ask you just, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us what originally was in your mind. What were your original goals when you decided to start, pursuing your own health? And where
Sure.
were you at
Okay.
that time?
Yeah, so my name is Amanda, and first off, Stephanie, thank you for having me to do a little interview and share my experience because I hope that it will be found helpful with other people that you're potentially going to work with. So my name is Amanda, and I worked with Stephanie about a year ago. I'm in my early 40s, so it kind of in that range where things get extra super difficult for women maintaining their health. I have a lot of health changes happening. I am a mostly single solo parent of a young child, and I found myself not having energy. Um, Joint issues that I was having earlier in life were getting worse and worse, like more joint pain. Couldn't um, move around, like up and down stairs comfortably anymore. Getting down on the floor with my kid would sometimes cause my knees to get inflamed for weeks at a time, causing additional mobility issues. Uh, just kind of, I was just like, wow, this is terrible. Uh, I feel like I'm trying to be healthy. I, but I maybe am not being as healthy as I could be, and also had kind of felt that I tried everything that was sort of conventional previously. I had done a lot of just calorie deficit and exercise type diets to try to manage my weight because that is primarily what my doctors were telling me to do to manage my weight, right? Like eat less, move more, track your food, um, maybe eat this instead of that. And I felt like I tried those things and that I generally ate fairly healthy compared to maybe the average American. I love my fruits and vegetables. I was always eating, food pyramid style, like making sure that I had what I thought were the right kind of balanced meals for me. And it just simply wasn't working um, for me. I just felt miserable. So I knew Stephanie was starting her coaching business up, and I trust her in many areas of my life. She's a previous coworker of mine, and she definitely gave me good guidance and support in my own professional career. So I was like, why wouldn't I have her help me with my health? So I signed up for a session. So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
And so thank you for that. So we worked together we were working one-on-one together.
Hmm.
And uh, compared to your original goals, you were talking about your joint pain and your weight, um, what your original goals were and where you are now, how far you've come since that first 3 months and in the time after that. Um, were there what was your experience overall? What kind of benefits have you had that you maybe didn't even anticipate?
So I think we were talking like I didn't originally have a goal of specifically losing weight. In fact, I think I felt pretty annoyed with having gone through a lot of weight fluctuations over the past um, 5 to 7 years and like replacing wardrobes. And I was just like, you know what? I don't even care if the weight doesn't change. I just don't want to feel like garbage anymore. So made some step by step, small incremental changes that allowed me to adjust my nutrition specifically for what was working for me and what wasn't. And I did get a great deal more energy back, better sleep patterns, which was also helped by my child getting better sleep patterns just as he aged. But also, my joints felt much better. Actually, experienced a general reduction in inflammation that reduced acne that I've struggled with as an adult. Not like severe acne, but always like, like 1 or 2 pimples like all the time, just feeling kind of embarrassed about how I look. I'm like, I'm a grown up. Like, why do I look like this? Just that has like primarily cleared up. Don't really have nearly as many skin issues as I had um, like through my whole adulthood. Also, I have also suffered from very large tonsils and tonsil stones. Like those have cleared up, honestly, to the point that my dental hygienist told me to go see a specialist to have my tonsils removed. She said nobody should have to live like this. I changed my eating habits and my tonsils are normal. And she's like, I would never have expected that to happen. And I was like, I didn't either. Like, but I feel much better now. Thank you. And she told, she's like, well, you got to tell me what you're doing. And I explained to her some of the nutrition changes that I had made. Um, and she was like floored. I was like, yeah, I'm also floored. I don't know. This was not on the list of expectations I had. I did end up losing weight. Mostly I had clothes that already fit from previous weight fluctuations. But
Yay.
then, went out, got some new things because I felt so good. I wanted to have that reflected in how I dress and presented myself. What was inside is kind of more how I was dressed and feeling on the outside as well. Ended up losing about 35 pounds to 40 pounds. Um, like some of that was while I was working with Stephanie, and then just continuing um, afterwards for a few more months. And then I've maintained that weight loss for about a year now. So it's been manageable and maintainable with the changes that I've made. So very happy with all of the outcomes of my nutritional changes that I made.
That's awesome. And you said, getting up and down off the floor with your son or your child rather,
Yeah.
just being able to play and do those things. How's that knee? How are your knees been? Have you had?
They've, they've been really good. They are still the first place that I notice, like if I am going off of my nutritional plan, uh, that's the first place I notice it is like my
Yeah.
my bad knee, and I'm like, oh, I got some inflammation flaring up again. Like, you
My
know,
body's talking to me.
there's reasons that I don't eat those particular foods anymore that cause this inflammation for my body, which might be fine for other people, but for me, they cause a lot of inflammation, and I've crossed the line. I've eaten too many of them. Um,
Yeah.
so I got to back off again. So it's kind of a nice little like weather bell. Like it tells me, hey, like
Yeah. That's
listen,
like
like
me and my
yeah.
my left big toe. Like I had jammed it really bad once as a kid. So like if
Mhm,
anything, so that's where my
mhm,
inflammation, like if I do something that's off, I'm like, oh, that big toe is that big toe, man.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. And it's like it's not something that you have to mask, right? It's just something that you're saying, oh, my body's talking to me, right? Yeah.
Mhm,
So being able to hear all of that and
yeah.
I think, did you ever have any issues? I think some people that come, talk to me, they're worried about, their stress levels and their emotional, eating habits and combined with that. Did you feel like you ever struggled with any, did you think that stress or anything like that was part of your your life? And has any of that changed or your
Yeah,
outlook on
and
that?
yeah, I definitely had gone through some very stressful periods of time. Uh, and some of the alleviation of that stress allowed me to then start focusing on my health, which just helped to like bootstrap to a better and better situation. So definitely, I think it helps a bit. And then just always when you are working on yourself and starting to put yourself first in more places in your life, like I think that that greatly helps with your overall stress system. So it definitely had those benefits as well. Uh, so yeah, I can't remember anything in super particular when we were working together.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember the meal planning, like just knowing what you were
oh,
going to eat was one of those big, you're like, the
mhm,
idea of it was so stressful. And I think you said
mhm.
something at one point afterward, like it was way less stressful to actually to do it in the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I kind of have made my own compromises on that at this point. I actually use a meal service, a food service now for a lot of my meals, and I do still eat out a lot, also. But I know what I can and can't eat on menus, and I ask for a lot of substitutions. And so like I feel like that was really stressful when I started as well. And now I'm just like the queen of substitutions. I'm just like, oh, I saw this vegetable somewhere else on the menu. I would like that instead of the rice. Like, make it happen. Like, I don't know what you need to charge me, but like I'm not eating what's on, or just don't bring me the rice and I will have a smaller meal. But like I don't want it. Or like
Yeah,
so I I feel like overall, like my food choices and how I get food in front of myself has become a lot less stressful than it was to start with.
and then that's important to understand because I think some people are like, oh, I have to become a world-class kitchen chef in order to eat healthy. And in this case, it's just really you find
Yeah.
what works with your life, right?
Yeah.
You figure
Yep.
out what works. And there are definitely ways to eat the way you want and still have
Mhm.
some convenience in your life. So I think that's awesome. Um, I just, I want to thank you so much for being here today, and for someone, you know, uh, who has just really taken what you've learned. And I know you mentioned earlier those just small steps, those baby steps, and the program itself. In the end, do you feel that it was set up well for you and doable, and for anybody who thinks that it wouldn't fit into your life, what would you say?
See, like the program that Stephanie runs is really great. The thing I remember being most impressed with is that like she's very intuitive about kind of creating the steps for each individual person and knowing from like her intake like what it is you're going to need first, and then from your communications throughout those first steps like what's going to come next, what's going to be most natural for you to work on next. Because I always thought of like, oh, I'll go and tell her something about what I think, and then she's like, yep, so here it is, it's all mapped out, this is what I thought you were going to be doing next. And then like so she knows, she really knows her information, but she also knows the path that a particular person is moving along. Um, and so that made it easy and natural to work with her. There wasn't any like friction or fighting about what to focus on next. Like she really does listen and take that into account and build you your program step by step. She has like a wealth of knowledge. I probably didn't take advantage of as much of it as she could provide to me in that time. So I feel like if anything, you're probably getting more than what you might make use of initially, but then that information will be there for you when you're ready for it later on when you're ready to make those steps. So
Awesome. Well, thank you
yeah.
so much for taking this time and sharing your story. And for all of you watching, I hope this helps you or inspires you, regardless of how you decide to move forward with your personal health journey, that you just make the step. I think it's completely worth it. I know in my life and my experience, I'm so much happier having done it, even though it was coming out of a really painful place, and that's where change comes from, but it's okay. And we got you. So anyway, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have been enjoying or have enjoyed the masterclass series, Ignite Your Metabolism for Lasting Energy. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. All right. Thank you, everybody.